Yo, what's good? It's Skano from the gutter. So I decided to conduct an experiment. Why? I had a little time on my hands. So I recently relocated back home to Cleveland. And, I wanted to cosplay as a Latino, just to get a feel for the Latino experience, because I've had Latinos come on my channel and say, they get profiled just as much as black folks, if not more. So, I wanted to put that theory to the test. So I started in, lower east side Cleveland and the west side of Cleveland. Now, west side, predominantly Latino. It really wasn't no purpose in going over there. I had to, oftentimes, I found myself saying, no Espanol, you know what I'm saying? But I got the flag and everything. I got the flag on the, now I had the vehicle swap because obviously Latinos. I don't know any Latinos that's riding around in Dodge Challengers. So family friend, I borrowed their Honda van, and I got flag on the antenna and Mexican flag, and I posted a Mexican flag on the side, side window. Uh, and I rode around, and I'm be honest with you, East Side, and playing Latin music, man, loud as I could play it. You know, I'm in the trenches, and I'm be honest with you, man. Black people, for the most part, cause East Side Cleveland and the West Side too. It's a mix of it's a mix of black, whites, and Latinos on the West Side, but you know, East Side predominantly black. I'm be honest, nobody really paid much attention. I'm talking about from citizens, in the trenches, law enforcement. Really, no issues. You know what I'm saying? None at all, to be honest. So I decided to go to Pepper Pike, which is a predominantly white, Cleveland suburb. More affluent. And I'm be honest with you, man. I wasn't driving around long, and I got pulled over. Now, I'm following all the traffic laws. I ain't got time to be paying no tickets now. So I asked him what exactly did he pull me over for. And this white officer, he says that you know, the flag is too large on the side. I actually had it on the side door, the sliding door, pretty big. And he said, yeah, it's too big. You obstruct. It's dangerous. You can't ride around. To my knowledge, I thought you could, but he said no, it's too large. You know, but so after he asked for my license and whatnot, yeah, he comes back, and I could tell he's confused. You know what I'm saying? It sort of a smirk on his face, like what's the deal, and it was kind of awkward for him, I guess, but he let me off with a warning, but so I go to Landerwood, which is a shopping plaza, in Pepper Pike, and I'm strolling around. Now, you say, well, how do people know you obviously I can pass for Latino, and I had on carpenter pants, boots. I try to dress as Latino as possible. What exactly is that? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of Latinos actually try to, mimic black swag. So I try to dress like an older looking Latino, and approach people, and try to be, personable. And I'm be honest with you, man. The white citizens of Pepper Pike don't seem to be very receptive of Latinos. So, I pretty much got the cold shoulder. Anyway, so, no sooner as I leave, Landerwood Plaza, pulled over again. And this time, like I said, I do have the music, blasting Latino music. I wouldn't say blasting, but it's pretty loud. And no sooner as I pull out of this plaza, man, I get pulled over again. And like I said, I'm following all the traffic laws. And once again, they have an issue with the flag being displayed. Although technically, like I said, it is not obstructing. I have it in the rear, so it wasn't obstructing my view per se. So I'm pretty. So yeah, same thing. You know, the flag, it's on the large side. Once again, I did get let off, you know, with a warning. And I don't think the law enforcement in Pepper Pike, took too kindly to my, you know, cosplaying, put it like that. Once they figured out that I was actually, not Latino, they seemed to be a bit annoyed more than anything, once they found out, So, I go to Garfield Heights, all the suburbs that I could, And this was a couple day experience. I didn't do it all in one day, So I'm riding around in Garfield Heights, and I will say that, there were some citizens, that don't seem to care much for Latinos in Ohio. That's the general impression that I'm getting. Well, they don't care much for, anybody, to be honest. But I actually had a Coors Light beer can thrown at the van. You know what I'm saying? White folks. And but for the most part, it was pretty non coincidental. You know. So all this to say, I think it's a little easier being Latino in Cleveland than it is being black, for sure. Now, like I said, people can, depending on, how you presenting yourself, because most people don't know what I am. I'll be honest. Y'all didn't know either until I told you. Be real. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It seems to be a bit more easier to me to be Latino than it does to be black. I mean, that's just my general impression, Like I said, I didn't get ran down on or, assaulted or, on these pullovers. They were generally, although, like I said, the second pullover, I think he wanted to stump a hole, I get the feeling that he wanted to impose physical violence on me. But that was after he found out that I was not actually Latino, though. All this to say, man, y'all cap. You know what I'm. Maybe the experience is different, but I doubt it. Ohio is one of the more racist states in the country. People think it's generally in the South. Ohio is very racist. I'm gonna be honest with you. It is. And I got cut off a lot, as far as out and about drive, especially on the freeway. I got cut off a lot. And I tend to think that, these people were, generally not receptive of my, flying the Mexican flag. But outside of that, not much to report. I'm going to be honest with you. Wasn't physically assaulted, wasn't called any racial slurs or anything of that nature, So it's a whole different vibe though when I'm in when I'm in the Challenger, a whole different vibe, Now I ride around in white suburbs playing rap music, I get a lot of long stares from time to time. I'm gonna be honest with you. But the hostility level is certainly higher when they, perceive me as being black. Although, like I said, I wasn't, it wasn't nothing overly extra. But for the most part, being Latino, not so bad. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Not so bad at all. So oddly enough, even with all this, all that's going on with deportation and, immigration issues and woo woo, even with the flag posted, like I said, I didn't run across too many issues, man. But being black in white suburbs of Ohio, it's a totally different experience. I gotta be honest, man. So I don't know. I have to call cap on that, man. And y'all have it a lot easier in this country. And I can only base this on, because I've only conducted this experiment, in Cleveland, in the surrounding suburbs. Only the ones that, like I said, I ain't have time to go all. But for the most part, like I said, wasn't that bad, man. Y'all got it way easier than black folks in this country. You do, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to make it like, minimize. I know y'all go through things too, you know what I'm saying? But even with the flag prominently displayed, no issues, man, But if I ride around in my Challenger and, the outer suburbs of Pepper Pike, Beechwood, places like that, even Solon, playing my music loud, rap music, it's a totally different vibe, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a roll of the dice whether you actually make it out of there without getting pulled over, maybe assaulted, beaten by the cops. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. But nah, man. Hey, y'all ain't got it nowhere near as bad as we do. Even with the current climate being what it is, So, like I said, man, I get it. I understand that, America is what it is, and, I'm not trying to, play the victim role or whatnot. I'm just, I'm just stating my experiences as, what I'm saying? Because obviously I can pass for Latino until they get to talking to me. I don't know Spanish like that, you know what I'm saying? At that point, the whole role play thing broke down, but just my general impression, and I was only Latino for a few days, you know what I'm saying? I can't, obviously I've been blacker longer than, but nah, man, nowhere near, like I said, y'all ain't got it nowhere near as bad as us. Actually, like I said, it seemed to me that most people, and this is just Ohio, but I hear Columbus is, a little bit more, hostile as far as Latinos are concerned. But as far as Cleveland, it wasn't that bad at all, and so I'm gonna have to call cap on that, man. You know what I'm saying? But maybe I haven't, like I said, it wasn't a long enough period of time to actually give a truly accurate account of what being Latino is, in Cleveland. But like I said, overall, nobody really paid much attention to me, man. I pretty much was outside of, like I said, Pepper Pike. I don't think, law enforcement and the citizens of Pepper Pike, I don't think they care much for Latinos, but I don't think there are many Latinos in Pepper Pike at the same time. So, like I said, man, I think I'm gonna continue this experiment. I'm a kind of broaden my geographical and so I'll keep y'all updated. No ops left Scano. You already know.